Today's a good day. You want to know why? Because it's one more day that I am not in the mental hospital. So here we go, living life in recovery, and something really weird is happening, and that's that I have therapy today, and I don't know what to talk about. I think I might be done with therapy, or at least with a therapist that I am seeing right now. And time to move on in life. My therapist and other therapists I have had don't want me to get dependent on their services. So it's a matter of trying to be more independent and knowing that if I have a crisis, I can always call my therapist, but hopefully I can handle life on my own now. And if that doesn't work, I'll just get a new therapist. I guess there comes a point where you have to say, I've healed, or I've accomplished what I needed to accomplish. I know my first therapist, Lance, I knew I was done seeing him once the book was fully written, that I had my safe spot to talk, and that ended, and that relationship was over. It took me a while to find a new therapist, but there's been times in my life where I never had therapy when I was young, and I wished that someone had intervened. I did have one high school teacher, my writing teacher. She asked me, my writing was so disturbing, I guess, that she asked me if I needed to talk to someone. And at the time I was probably a sophomore in high school, and I was so offended because I thought nothing was wrong with me that I told her no, that I was fine. Looking back, I can say that I appreciate now that someone noticed that I need help. I just wish the adults in my life at the time had picked up on that something was wrong. So today with my therapist, I don't know. We'll see what he wants to talk about, because I don't have anything to talk about. Everything's okay. I mean, my life's not perfect, and nobody's life is perfect, but I think everything has been dealt with that needs to be dealt with. And like I have said in my book, the most intense part of therapy was the first year. When I did the exposure therapy through journaling, nothing compares to how intense that was. But therapy, you just go to get better. I feel kind of like at this stage in my life, I need more like a life coach or a success coach. So let's talk about some of the benefits of therapy, or maybe for someone who has never been to therapy, what to kind of expect or look for. And what I have to say with that is some therapists really suck. Some of them blow goat nuts. I mean, it is bad. So if you get in a situation where you go to therapy and you don't like that therapist, then know that not all therapists are like that. And also different stages in your life, and stages in your illness, and stages in whatever, you're going to need different kinds of therapy. But what I can say, after you fire the bad ones and try to find someone that matches with you, is that it is very magical and very wonderful to have a safe place to talk and have someone that is going to listen and give you advice and be there as your support. I do highly recommend therapy. It's good to get someone on your side, someone that's for you, someone that maybe can see the situation more clearly. And if you're fresh out of the mental hospital and you are trying to adjust to life on the outside of the mental hospital, I would recommend being in therapy. I know there's online therapy. I personally have never tried that, and I like to go somewhere private and talk to people and not just put my stuff typed out somewhere that's somehow maybe someone else could read. I don't know how they safeguard those kind of private informations, but I do like to meet with someone one-on-one. One thing that's hard with therapy for me is sometimes understanding this person is not my friend, and this therapist is not always going to be there for me. So that's one thing. I know some people don't like therapy for the basic reason that you pay someone to care about you. But I don't look at it that way. Everyone is worthy of their hire, and everyone has a family and a mouths to feed, and our society just works on money. You pay money to get a service, and money is just the currency in which we do things. Now, I know that some people feel resentful, like this person doesn't really care, they're just there to get my money. If you feel that way, you have the wrong therapist, because I know that my therapist does care about me, but he's also a professional and he cares about a lot of people, and his job is not to constantly babysit me or answer my phone calls and counsel me all the time. It's not like a best friend I can just call and vent to or whatever. So once you get it out of the way that it's a professional relationship and that this isn't your best friend and this is not your family member, and don't get too attached, I think that therapy can be a really big benefit, and that these therapists have a place in your heart and a place in your life where maybe they know things about you that nobody else knows, or they can talk about subjects with you that are very touchy or, sensitive in your life. And, the other benefit is, unlike a best friend, they've been educated and they've been trained to handle certain situations. So what I like when I have a therapist is their skill level and being able to give me accurate advice and skills to deal with my mental illness or the struggles in my life and that kind of thing. These people are trained. So that's what you're paying for. Your therapy, like I said, was really hard the first year. And I've had probably maybe 4 different therapists, and 2 of them I like and 2 of them I didn't like. And I've had one therapist fail me really bad. I've had one therapist I didn't like. She was a female, and I think that she tried to fill the authority woman figure in my life, and I didn't like that. And then I had one therapist that I liked until he didn't help me when I was in a crisis, and he didn't do his job, and I ended up being hospitalized when I probably shouldn't have been, because he was slacking and wasn't there to have my back in an emergency situation. So I've had very negative experiences with therapists, but I don't let that outweigh the benefits of therapy. So what are some of the benefits of therapy? Well, I like therapy because it makes me feel that I'm not alone. And if I have a very big, important decision to make, or I'm struggling with something on a very deep level, that I'm not alone, that I have someone to bounce ideas off of, a sounding board. And also my one therapist I have now, he offered a very unique perspective to my life that was very positive, and his personality and just the way that he approaches life is something like a mentor that I can learn from to become more like him with his philosophy of living life, to get outside of my head and not look at things through my perspective, but maybe know in life that there are other perspectives besides yours. Your perspective is very, very valuable, and be authentic to who you are, but also be open. With therapy, I found it's more effective if I'm open to looking at things through different angles and maybe seeing different perspectives that maybe I missed, or perspectives of other people I'm around, or just how I might come across or whatever. But, I think that I've changed from each good therapist that I have had, and the bad therapists that I had, I wish I didn't waste so much time with. You're not obligated to these people to stay and be their client. And like I always say, with your psychiatrist, you can fire someone at any time, and to keep that in perspective that they work for you. And it's their job to do a good job and to be a support to you, and ultimately you're in control of the relationship. Now, that doesn't mean anytime that you don't like what they say, you just get rid of them. But if you can feel that it's not a good match, or that you're not growing, or you don't feel safe to talk about stuff, The therapist I have now, he challenges my distorted thinking on things and offers a more general perspective than just the one that I have inside my head. So I really do appreciate that. But the first time I met him, I thought, I am not going to work with this guy. Are you serious? Because his ideas were so radically different than mine. But I decided to give it a try and give him a chance. And I was pleasantly surprised. It's been a year. Oh, has it been a year and a half, or 2 years? I don't know. I forget. No, maybe a year and a half. And I'm very pleasantly surprised at the results. Now, when I first saw the therapist I'm seeing now, I was fresh out of the mental hospital, and I had been in the mental hospital for 5 months at Western State Mental Hospital, and I was very, I don't want to say low self-esteem. It's even lower than low self-esteem. I felt like damaged from my place in society, that I'm just a mental health patient and that's all I'll ever be. And he challenged that thinking that he said it's like high school. Like, oh, you were in high school and then you graduated, but that doesn't mean your whole life is high school. And that I was in the mental hospital and that I got better and that I'm not in the mental hospital anymore. So I kind of graduated like you graduate from high school. Yeah, I've been there, but it doesn't affect my life every day. Just like the fact I went to a good high school doesn't affect me every day. Now, I still like to identify myself as a mental health patient because I feel like that's a world that I have been part of for 7 years or so. And even before that, I struggled with my mental illness to a large extent. So I am not going to cut that part out of my soul and just pretend that it never happened and that I'm not a mental health patient. I know that I'm a mental health patient, and I know that that's part of my life and who I am. However, I've gained skills and confidence and gotten better that that's not all of me. That's just part of me. I do take comfort in the fact that I have an illness and that it's not my fault, and that relieves a great deal of pressure in my head that I don't have to be perfect and I don't have to live without symptoms, because symptoms are just part of my life and I have to deal with it and adjust to it. Now, it drives my therapist absolutely crazy that I still identify as a mental health patient. But when I first started seeing him, that's the extent that I thought my life would be forever. And my first therapist I had, he said to always try to focus on seasons in your life. Like one season in your life you might be really sick, but then summer will come or fall will come or winter will come and things change in life. And I didn't like that advice when I first heard it. I thought it sounded pretty corny and I didn't like it. But I have come to realize that that's true. Just because you're really sick now doesn't mean that you're going to be sick, forever. It's just right now. That's just the season that you're in. And I think you can outgrow a therapist because they're there for a season in your life, but they might not need to be there for all of it. So where I'm at now is that the therapist that I currently have, that relationship is winding down and coming to a close. Now, he said he'll always be there, like if I need to schedule an appointment or something bad happens, or I'm really symptomatic and I technically need a therapist at that time, that we can reinstate my therapy and just write to the insurance companies and get more therapy. But he said in his progress notes with me, I've made so much progress, he doesn't see how I could improve anymore or move up in my life to something else. And I feel, he didn't say it, but I feel that I have gained all that I can gain from him, and that's over 1.5 years. I would like to hire a life coach now. I feel like that's more where I'm at, and still keep the relationship with my psychiatrist. It's a brave new world thinking about having life without weekly check-ins with a therapist. We're down to twice a month, so every other week I'm coming in, and then we're going to go down to once a month, and then eventually we'll stop. So my therapist is currently looking at discharging me from therapy, which means I need to get a life coach and start focusing on going forward instead of just catching up and trying to be normal. Now I need to figure out how to excel and gain life skills to become more successful. I have come such a long way. Oh, there's a fly, little gnat. I have come such a long way in therapy over the year and a half I've been seeing my therapist, my new therapist. I just hope it works out, me being on my own. Now, I used to be in an in-person support group, and I was in it for like 5 years. And when they said that my insurance would no longer cover my support group and that I needed to graduate, I was like, what? How am I going to live my life without all my friends at the support group and this safe spot? And it was really painful for me to separate from having an appointment to go to every Wednesday afternoon for a support group, and it was part of my life, and I look forward to it, and I scheduled it, and it got me out of the house at least once a week. So when I graduated, I was really kind of devastated, but then I realized that I can make it without, that I allow myself to grow, and I can make it without that service, and that's been something I've been really proud of. The issue is moving forward. In life, you never want to become like completely stagnant. And I think with losing the support group that I was in and then now outgrowing therapy, I have to look for social things to fill my calendar with and not just rely on getting the social connection from my support group or my therapist. And I'm kind of excited, and I kind of look forward. I mean, I'm scared, but I kind of look forward to seeing what I replace therapy with in my life. Like, now that I don't have that appointment to go to, what am I going to do with my life? And it's a matter of healing and letting yourself heal, which sounds really easy, doesn't it? Let yourself heal. It's actually really hard to forgive and move on and let yourself heal. It's changes your self-perspective also. So that's all I have to say today. Try therapy. I'll do more videos on therapy and like how to first start therapy, or what to expect from a therapist. So we'll talk about it again. And if you have questions or are scared to go to therapy, maybe you could just put it in the comments and we can have something to discuss later. But I look forward to hearing your stories about therapy and what you got out of it, and I'll share more too, because I've had like 7 years of therapy from 4 different therapists, and I have definitely learned and grown, and also had some pretty miserable experiences with therapists. But just find one that feels like a good fit and that you can talk to. A good way that I look at it is, can I tell this person everything? Which is really important for your safety, because if you're having weird thoughts or you're having dangerous thoughts or suicidal, when you're dealing with mental issues, a lot of people say you should go to therapy, right? And a lot of doctors will say that, and a lot of people in your health support network will recommend therapy. So it's something that is available for a large variety of people and is effective, and the success rate probably depends on the therapist, but therapy is pretty good if you remember that you're in control and that you find someone that you like that is adding to your life and not making you feel uncomfortable in any way. So I wish you luck with therapy. And don't be afraid to try it. Don't be afraid to fire a therapist, which can be really hard sometimes because you're in their office and you feel like you're obligated to be there. But you are paying them to be a support and to care and to take care of you. Not that they can take care of everything in your life, but they can at least try to make it better. So guys, have a good day. And I am off to therapy, and I have nothing to talk about because I think I'm kind of done with therapy and got all I can get out of from this particular therapist and this particular relationship, professional relationship with a therapist. and that I've gleaned everything I can and grown as much as I can, and now the progress notes are so good that my insurance probably won't cover it anymore. They'll probably cut me off very soon. But I'm a mental health patient, and therapy does help me, so if I need it again, I hope it can be reinstated for me to see someone. But I'm off to therapy, so I gotta go. Enjoy your day. Bye.